Good morning, everybody, and thank you, Dr. Chu. On behalf of Jim Clapper, the Director of National Intelligence, and my colleague, Jed Doberman, the National Intelligence Officer, Africa, I'd like to offer my welcome to each and every one of you, and thank you for joining us today. All of you could have been someplace else, but you opted to be here, and for that we are grateful. Your presentations, comments, and questions I know will make this a very worthy day for all of us. I would also like to express my appreciation to IDA and to NIU for co-hosting this symposium. We three sponsors, along with each of you, broadly represent entities, all of which have a keen interest in Africa: academia, the private sector, and the U.S. government. Clearly, we are a diverse body, but we share a common interest in and responsibility for Africa. All of us, I think, are acutely aware of the challenges and instability found on the continent. Media reporting on Africa often focuses on the doom and gloom, and the challenges are daunting. Aging, autocratic leaders, unwilling to pass the torch to a new generation, fragile institutions struggling to provide good governance and services, and difficulties generating enough economic growth to provide jobs for a growing and increasingly young population. However, in my opinion, the political and economic trajectory for most African countries is very positive, and I am optimistic about the region's future over the next decade and beyond. African countries are amongst the world's fastest growing in the world, and we are witnessing the emergence of a growing cadre of young, educated Africans who are increasingly connected to the world and who yearn to participate in the political and economic life of their respective countries. In the year 2000, the magazine The Economist referred to Africa as the hopeless continent. By 2011, it had revised its characterization to the rising continent. And in 2013, it called Africa the hopeful continent. So regardless of how you would describe Africa, nobody will dispute the notion that Africa is more important today than it was yesterday, and that it will be even more important tomorrow than it is today. All of us have a vested interest in understanding Africa and the dynamics that are at work on the continent. And given the continent's enormity and diversity, it would be impossible in this symposium to highlight, to discuss, to understand all of the challenges and opportunities that the U.S. will face in Africa over the next decade. However, I think our speakers will help surface a handful of topics that we really need to think about, to think hard about, especially as we're about to transition from one U.S. administration to another. I can think of nobody better suited to open our symposium than the Assistant Secretary of State for the Bureau of African Affairs, Linda Thomas-Greenfield. Given that her bio is in your program, I will not enumerate all of her key assignments, such as the ambassador to Liberia, that this senior Foreign Service officer has held. However, I think it's accurate and fair to describe her as a true Africanist, one who has spent much of her 30-plus years at the State Department working directly or indirectly on African issues. The ambassador knows Africa, has dealt with many of its leaders, and understands the challenges, appreciates the tremendous potential, understands the considerations that have influenced U.S. government's policy on Africa, African countries, and its associated regional organizations for many, many years. And we are really extremely fortunate that she has found the time to be with us this morning. So I'd ask that you join me in giving a warm welcome to Ambassador Linda Thomas-Greenfield.